Hello and welcome to my new series on WebGPU. WebGPU is the official successor to WebGL, and what WebGPU does basically is it's based on next generation graphics APIs like Vulkan, Metal, and DirectX 12. In my experience, the code looks very similar to Metal because it's based on, well, it's written in TypeScript and it's very similar. But anyway, basically what this means is that if a user opens a website which is coded for WebGPU, then their underlying system will be called according to one of these APIs, and we can get blazing fast performance. As an example, okay, so we have WebGL, and WebGL has 3JS library, which can basically simplify a lot of the WebGL code. And similarly, recently, WebGPU was implemented in Babylon.js, which is kind of like 3JS. And as we can see here, there was a massive performance gain between WebGPU and WebGL underlying implementations. So this is all very exciting. Now, a reasonable question to ask is, when is WebGPU coming to us? As we can see here, it's currently in the Google Chrome Origin trial phase, which means it's still being tested and getting feedback and stuff, but that doesn't mean that we can't use it. What we can do is download, or we can, hop on the Origin trial, we can do that. A slightly easier way is to download Google Chrome Canary, which enables the most experimental features. And then we can hop in there and enable a flag to get WebGPU working on our system. But as it says here, okay, starting in Chrome 94, it's available for Origin trial. Okay, the Origin trial is expected to end in Chrome 105. That's September 21st in the current year. So in a number of months, WebGPU is coming to the mainstream. So we, as developers, need to be ready for it. And it is, I don't know, I'm super psyched about it. So anyway, this series is intended for complete beginners. And for that reason, I'm going to go through a number of fundamentals before even touching any WebGPU code. I know that when we're doing web development, it can be a little overwhelming, the sheer volume of stuff that we have to deal with. For that reason, I'm going to be going through NPM, Node Package Manager, in this video. And then in the video after that, I'll be looking at Webpack, and after that, TypeScript. Now, just a quick overview. Node Package Manager is used to take bundles of code from other repositories or other developers and integrate them into our project. Webpack has two uses. Firstly, it helps to simplify dependencies amongst various files by bouncing them down to a single, very ugly JavaScript file. And similarly, for other resources, we can kind of lump them together. And then the second use for Webpack is it can be used in transpiling TypeScript. Now, TypeScript is a superset of JavaScript. It's basically JavaScript with strict type enforcement. Now, this has no difference on the underlying code. The underlying code which is generated is still the same. TypeScript is transpiled or bounced down to vanilla JavaScript. But having that type enforcement does help in the development phase, and it is required for the WebGPU environment. So then the second benefit of Webpack is Webpack will handle the transpilation. So it will take that TypeScript and bounce it down, transpile it into vanilla JavaScript. So those will be the three kind of fundamentals that I go through before I even start talking about WebGPU. And then You're welcome to skip these if you feel that you're comfortable with it. That's perfectly fine. But like I said, this is geared for absolute beginners. So if you what's a web page? What's a website? This is a series for that. Okay. Then we have, I'm going to go through possibly some other fundamentals like the JavaScript document object model, the DOM, and jQuery, just depending on if we have time for it, depending on if people would like to see that sort of thing. Otherwise, yeah, after we go through those three basic fundamentals, we'll be jumping into the actual stuff. So, enough talking. For this series, I'm going to be developing in Windows. Now, I'm going to be developing in Mac. The reason for that is I just find that the Mac environment is a little more straightforward for web development stuff. Things feel easier, but I will be going through some quick installation stuff in Windows as well, because we could be following along on Windows and it doesn't matter. We can use both systems. So to start, again, topic of today is, where are we? Not there. Topic of today is Node Package Manager, because we want to be able to install various packages and work with them. So we could go directly to Node's website and download their installers for Windows. However, occasionally it's useful to be able to switch between versions of Node. And for that, there's something called NVM Node Version Manager, and there's a Windows version called NVM Windows. We can just pop in here and download the installer. And it really doesn't matter which one we pick. I'm going to pick NVM Setup. No install. Well, I am installing, so I want it to install anyway. So we can just pop in here, run this setup. Just the usual stuff. And we can install that. Okay. So now we can use it. So if we go over to command prompt, we do have to run this as an administrator because NVM installs stuff. So let's go NVM version. What do we have there? Okay. So because I've typed in something that NVM doesn't recognize, it gives me a little hint here. Let's go NVM current. If I can spell. And it says no current version. Okay, now let's go NVM list. So we're currently not using a version. List will show us anything that's available to us. It says no installations recognized. Okay, so we're going to have to install something. And this actually, it's a bit of a trick. It installs a Node environment. So it installs Node and a Node Package Manager. Now in this video, we're just using the Node Package Manager. That's fine. So it says here we have this NVM install and then version, and it says version can be a specific version, latest, or LTS for long-term support. Now I'm going to go long-term support, so I'll say NVM install long-term support, LTS. Okay, so it just does its thing. Okay, great. So again, let's go NVM current, and yes, nothing is being used at the moment. And then we can say, okay, well, what do we have available? NVM list, we have this one. Now, I don't want to type this. This is annoying. So what we can do is we can say NVM use and then LTS, long-term support. And it understands what that is. And we can check this. So we can say, okay, NVM current. Why am I doing this? What's going wrong? Okay. Okay, there we go. All right. Now we can check this. We can say, okay, node V, what version of Node are we using? We've got that. Node Package Manager, what version are we using? We've got that as well. Awesome. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to install some stuff. So we'll just what am I going to call this? We'll call this npm test. Okay. Okay, so as we can see here, command prompt is currently working in the C drive. And here I've started this up in D drive, which is a great way to add artificial complexity to a tutorial. The way we can, normally we go like cd, change directory, but that doesn't work so well. So what we'll do is we'll just go D, and now we're in D drive. And now we can go cd into dev. I'm lazy. We're in there. Okay. Now I wonder if I can do this. Wonder if I can get away with this code. Yeah, awesome. That opens up Visual Studio Code, which I'll be using here. And yep, we can see that. Awesome. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run Node Package Manager, going to initialize a new project. And typically when we initialize a new project, it will ask us a bunch of initialization questions like what's your project name? Do you have a GitHub repo and all of that? There's an option we can just say -y, which will take some basic default values here. Now what this does is it gives us the bare minimum for a Node project, which is just this package.json. JSON, of course, being JavaScript object notation. So it should look pretty familiar, should look like a Python dictionary, basically. We have key value pairs for all these options. And then also we can have, as values, if we have more than one, we can have sets. Okay, that's cool. So, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and do this in Windows, and then I'll redo the whole thing in Mac. Anyway, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go, okay, let's install a package. So I'll go Node Package Manager, install, and I'm going to install HTTP server. And it does its thing. And now we get two new things. We get this node modules folder and this package lock.json. So node modules, who even knows? It installs a whole bunch of things, but you know, they're not installed in our system. They're just files. We can delete them. That's perfectly fine. We get this, well, you know, we get this package lock, and this package lock has some information about the I don't know, the versions and things for each of the little files which are automatically installed by NPM. That's fine. Okay, so what I'm going to do also, by the way, it has updated our dependencies section. It's added this HTTP server and then this the version number that we've installed. Okay. So let's get things fired up. Let's make a really basic index.html and then the standard Emmet abbreviation. So that's !tab, and it kind of fills out stuff. Go, this is my website. Awesome, cool. Doesn't really matter. All I want to do is set it up so that I can run this with the Node project. So as you can see, this is very straightforward so far, I hope. And what do we do? New minor version. Who cares? It's fine. It's not part of long-term support, so we won't worry about that. Okay. So what we'll do is I want to go, okay, Node Package Manager, start. It says, hey, we don't have something. So let's go Node Package Manager run. And we've got nothing, right? So all we have is this test script. So if we look here, we have in the scripts, we've got this basically. So what we can do is we can say, okay, node package manager run test. And then we have it. Okay, so long story short, we can actually specify a bunch of scripts. And this is kind of similar to make files. Okay, so there is a special script name called start. And it's kind of similar to how make files have a phony, like a default starting thing. And we're going to do something there. I'm going to fill that in a second. So I'm going to make a bunch of these. I'm going to go, okay, where are we? Install missing dependencies. Okay. So in my GitHub, we'll have this code, but I will not be including this node modules and package lock. That's kind of insane. So what we'll do is we'll run this. We'll go npm I. Well, we used npm I to install things. We wrote npm and then I for install and the name of the thing that we were installing, and it automatically installed it. Okay, great. Well, what happens if we run npm I and nothing else? Well, what it basically does is it looks around and it looks at the dependencies and it says, okay, we need this, we don't have it, so let's go and install it. Okay, so this sets it up so that I can distribute the code, and it works. It installs itself. Do you know what I mean? So we'll go. So just to test, actually, you know what? I'll do it first and then I'll test it. So we'll go. Okay. So we go npm start, and this is the reason I said this was a special script, because we don't have to say run start, we can just say start. Well, what am I thinking? We go npm run. So this is basically the command which goes in here. So let's try that again. Yep, so it runs, it's up to date. And just to test, let me try just deleting all of this stuff. So we'll go delete that stuff that got installed. It's gone. So this is what you'll get on the GitHub basically, and we'll just go npm start. And that goes ahead and installs these things. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to serve my website. And the way I serve this website is I call the HTTP server dependency, and this will start a server, start a basic server. So, okay, that's all well and good, but then how do we set this up? Well, we do it with this AND operation. So we'll go npm run install missing dependencies and npm run serve. And you can see we can make this as complicated as we want. We can add extra intermediate steps and things. So then we go npm start. It installs everything. And then we allow access. And there we have this. So we can go, okay, available here. There we go. Okay. So then what we do is simply grab any of these and paste them in. It takes a second, possibly longer than it should take, but it does load it. Still loading the other one, but anyway, here it is. This is my website. Okay, cool. So that is just a quick kind of overview of running this on Windows. Okay, so let's jump over to a Mac and see how this runs. Hello, welcome back. So here we are in the Mac. By the way, let me know which series would you like me to run this tutorial in. So here we are. We can go, I've already got Node Version Manager on this system, as we can see here. And if I go nvm current, this tells me I'm currently using the system version, whatever that is. And if I go nvm list, it has a whole bunch of these available. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pretty much start from scratch. So I'll say nvm install long-term support. What do you... Okay. So it says here LTS Gallium. Okay. So it appears that we have more options in Mac with Node Version Manager. So what I'll do is I'll say, okay, Node Version Manager, install, and that was 16.14.2. You can already see how much fun I'm having with this. Okay, great. So we've got that. And it says we're now using it. Okay, great. And it gives us the versions. Awesome, that's good. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, we will change directory into dev. We'll make a directory, which I'm going to call npm test. Okay. Pop in there and open Visual Studio Code in there. Awesome. So here's our directory, and I'm going to do exactly the same as I did in Windows. Let me just get that set up. Okay. All right. So what I'll do is I'll start a new project. So I'll say Node Package Manager init, and with this, it usually asks us a bunch of questions, like what's your project name? Will you have a GitHub repo and so on? And we can just force it to basically use default values by adding this -y. So there we have it. These are the default values that it chose. And if we go to this package.json, JavaScript object notation, then we have this kind of configuration, and it's like a Python dictionary. We have key value pairs, and if we have multiple values, we can wrap them up in a list. Or if we have, you see what I'm doing. It's a dictionary, basically. Okay, so then I can say, okay, let's install a package. So also say Node Package Manager, then I for install, and then the name of the package. I'm going to install a basic HTTP server. There we have it. Now it's installed a bunch of things. It's installed a bunch of Node modules. Who even knows what's going on there? But they are local files, so I can simply move it to bin, and it just gets rid of the files, and there's nothing on my system, basically. And then we have packagelock.json. It is also added, which is basically some configuration for all of those. And then in package.json, we've also added this HTTP server with a version number here. Okay, so we've got that set up. Awesome. Okay, now I'm going to add, add a file. Just really simple, index.html. And we'll do the Emma abbreviation, ! tab, fills out a basic website, and it doesn't even matter, so I'll just go, this is my website. Awesome. Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. So then the next question is, how do we kind of set this up? So if we look at package.json, we have this scripts set. And this is kind of like make files. So we'll go, if we go npm run, then it shows us the scripts that we have available. So what we can do is we can say npm run test, and that will perform that test. It also indicates the command which was done there. Okay, so let's get rid of this. We're going to write our own. And there's a special, okay, so what am I going to do? Let's make, okay, so I've said this before in the Windows. What we'll do is we'll make a script called install dependencies, and this is npm I. Well, what's this? Well, npm I will install things. What do you think happens if we just run I with nothing? What it will do is it will look inside the dependencies folder and say, what do we need? And then it will check that against the, the node modules and the package lock if they're present, and install them if needed, basically. So we'll make a start code, and the start script will basically, it will run a command. It will say npm, I know it won't, it will say install dependencies. No, what am I thinking? What am I am off here. So we go, the command that we're doing, so npm run install dependencies, and it runs that script down below. So we'll just go npm start, and yes. Now what it's doing is it just quickly checked if we needed to install anything, and no, we're all good. But just to test this, we can grab this, control click, right click, delete, move it to trash. So this is what we'll get if we have, like on the GitHub, these files will be completely empty. That won't be there. But we can get them just by, where are we? Just by starting, and it runs that and installs them, and we get the node modules and the package lock.json, so we are all set up. Awesome. Okay, so then the next thing I want to do is I want to make a script which will serve my website. And what we do is we run the HTTP server, and it has a default configuration, so this is fine, this is all good. Where are we? And we're going to go, okay, so we're going to run multiple scripts. So we do this with the and symbol. We go run install dependencies and npm run serve. Okay, so just Control S save and then do that. By the way, see there's a difference here. With the regular scripts, we need to say npm run, then the script name. However, with start, it's a special script. So if we just run npm start, it will automatically look inside scripts, look for the start script. We don't have to say npm run start. It's just what it is. So we run this, it installs, and now it's started up the HTTP server. So it says, okay, we have this one here. All we need to do is click on, enter any of these into our browser location. And there we have it. This is my website. And it doesn't matter which one we run, both will be the same. Awesome. So that's good. We've got that set up. So I'll just Control C to end the server. And there we have it. Okay, so I hope you found this useful. I hope you had fun. And you're hopefully a little more comfortable with Node Package Manager, Node Version Manager, and things. I know it can be a little intimidating when you start up a project and you see a bunch of these things just, warp in through a wormhole, but it's just files. It's just stuff. Anyway, hope you had fun, and I will see you in the next step where we look at Webpack. All right, bye.